Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Life Coach Friday. I'm Natalie Webster with Tonka Talk, and here is Annette Walters, our resident life coach who joins us every other Friday so we can talk about tools to help us create better communities, to help us create better connection, basically to address my personal problems.
Your bonus life coach session.
Yes, exactly. Because outside of our online Life Coach Friday, Annette is also my life coach who I see. So this might be in small part of my way to get some extra sessions in the name of helping y'all.
Air quotes are always good. Use
Exactly.
them often.
Yes. So today we are talking about overwhelm and stepping out of overwhelm. And I'm sure no one can relate. Have you ever been, those feelings of overwhelm? We're going to identify how to, spot it. What does it feel like? What does it look like? And then tools on how to step out of it, how to flip the script on it and not be underneath that overwhelm. Do I got all that right in
Mhm.
that?
You got all of it right. You got all of it right. Overwhelm is one of those things that has dogged me for years. And I was thinking this weekend when we were preparing for this that overwhelm is kind of like, have you ever seen that statue of, I think it's called Atlas? And so it's that stone statue of that guy, and he's holding the world up with
Hmm.
everything that he has, and it looks like he's straining. Well, that's kind of how overwhelm's always felt for me. And, it's like, and all my energy goes toward just having it be there. And just like seeing Atlas, like he's never going to put down that rock. It's like, this thing is never going away. And yet it takes every bit of energy that I have just to exist within it.
It does. It really, for me, when I feel overwhelmed, it feels like there's no options, that it's
Mhm.
just one. And that's such a perfect analogy because that really is what it feels like. And sometimes it feels like I can't even see the giant ball. I'm just being,
We're just
I'm
underneath.
just being smashed by something.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, I was actually giving a presentation on this weekend, and what I liken it to is being strapped into kind of a roller coaster that we don't know where it's going. It's kind of like in a dark tunnel.
Hmm.
And and it's like we have to just ride it out. As you said, it's like we have no options. Somebody has forcibly put us in this car and strapped us in and almost put on blinders on us. And it's okay, now you stay there until this ride is over. And it may never be over, but you stay there. And that's what overwhelm does to us. It frankly it lies to us. But yeah, that's something else entirely. So
So, where do we start? I mean, we kind of identified overwhelm. What would you say are some of the other ways that we can recognize it so that we know, oh, okay, this is overwhelm? Because sometimes it'll start out feeling like it's something else,
Mhm.
that it's the individual things themselves. Like you might think, oh, I'm overwhelmed because I have to get, my kids to 2, 3 places today and I have work. And we can sometimes identify those things. But is that enough? Are those the things we should be looking at? What should we be looking at to really know, okay, this is overwhelm? And I
Mhm.
remember from Life Coach Friday that there were some tools to get through it. Now I recognize it and I'm going to use those.
Mhm. So, I'm so glad you started with awareness because awareness is really the key to walking out of things like overwhelm. And so, overwhelm can present in many different ways. It may start off as frustration, or um, it'll cause us to do things. So sometimes we don't recognize it until we're actually doing something. So, if you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about your calendar and all you want to do is stay in bed, that could be overwhelm. If you find yourself like me with a gallon of Ben and Jerry's, I don't know why I'm always in bed, but in bed with a gallon of Ben and Jerry's, yeah, that is overwhelm. It is now I don't want to confuse it with depression, and if it is something where you can't function, or you really can't take care of yourself, I just want to say that that is depression, and that requires a professional therapist or psychologist. And so if you do find yourself in that situation, that is not what we are talking about today. And please get some, there are professionals out there that are trained in helping you function again. So what we're talking about is we're talking about overwhelm, not willing to face our day, but still kind of functioning as we go around. So it can look like, what's interesting about overwhelm is that sometimes it can be compartmentalized. So it's just one area of life as opposed to all of life. And so, when we find those things where we're avoiding, or we feel like we have to, go in guns blazing and we have to fight, these can all be signs of overwhelm, where
Mm.
our body is triggering that fight or flight so that it can protect ourselves. We've talked about it before. One of the primary directives of our brain is to keep us safe, which is, we're going to get into it, but overwhelm actually has a purpose, and it's perfectly normal. And so we'll get into that. But the other thing that I want to talk about is what we say. So when you hear people who are going down the track and going, "Oh my gosh, I am so overwhelmed." Besides that, what do you hear people say?
Definitely, I'm overwhelmed. I have a lot going on.
Mhm.
I just can't anymore.
Yes. Mhm.
And it's a
Kind
it's
of
a
a
feeling not knowing where to start sometimes. There's so many things that it's almost paralyzing where it's okay,
mhm.
there's so many things. I'm not sure where to start. I think that's common too.
Mhm. And so it's in part feeling defeated, it's in part, confused, and allowing these things to paralyze us, as you said, and to keep us safe. As I said, the thing about overwhelm is that it's a normal part of how our brains work. If you get nothing else out of today, one of the things that I really want you to walk away with is overwhelm is perfectly normal.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that we have to stay there, but it is perfectly normal. And when our brain gets into it and really triggers all of this, maybe the confusion, maybe the defeat, and definitely the leading into the overwhelm, what it's doing is that it's building walls. It's building walls in a way that, it will just shut us down. And even though it kind of sucks to feel, it is literally doing its job. And so that's what makes it normal. It and as I said,
Ah,
we don't have to stay there, but that's where we start.
that is
Mhm.
really interesting that it's that normalization of it. So now we recognize it, we know what it is, we have
Mhm.
awareness of it. So that's the first step. What
Mhm.
comes next?
So the next step is to get curious, because now that we've normalized it, now that we've kind of taken the sting out of it, the walls aren't quite so thick. They're a little thinner, and what we're doing is that we're starting to just accept the circumstances that we have. So
Uh,
it's time to get curious. Like, how do we think, "Oh, well, you know, if this is if this is here and overwhelm is normal, how can we walk out of it?
yeah.
What is actually going on here?"
Hmm.
Mhm.
So once we have that identified, do you think, what you said really got me about that awareness being such a big part of it? Do you think sometimes it got me thinking that is there such thing as being so overwhelmed that you don't recognize you're overwhelmed? I'm just curious.
Yes. Mhm.
And if anyone has any
Yeah.
comments on this, by the way, go ahead and jump in. We're live for a reason. You can go ahead and comment, ask any questions, and we'll do our best to get them answered.
Yeah, if y'all have any other ideas, other things that you hear yourself say or you hear people around you say about overwhelm, please chime in and put it in the chat. Um, when we're in overwhelm, what happens is that we really get kind of a tunnel vision.
Oh,
You
God.
know, because there is that thing that we wanna get done, and we can't get it done for whatever reason it is.
Hmm.
And so our ability to think through things, our ability to see any sort of options kind of goes away because we get this tunnel vision. And what we're doing when we are becoming aware is that we're allowing ourselves to think maybe beyond the tunnel into something else so that we can actually see any options that are available to us. And that's why it's so important to get curious. But we can't get curious until we actually see where we are. A lot of times a lot of times in coaching, I spent time with my clients going, "Okay, but where are we right now?" And they're like, "I don't wanna look at that." But I'm like, "You know what? The thing is that the only way we can take a firm step off into another reality, to take a firm step off into something that we actually wanna do or create, is to know where we are right now,
Mm,
because that is the only solid rock we can stand on, is what is right now." And it's not condoning it, and it's not making it okay, it's not saying that we're going to stay there, but by acknowledging it, we're not fighting it anymore.
mhm,
And that frees up energy and energy to actually take that step off.
mhm. Can you see Lisa's comment there?
Yes, and to get curious about it rather than to stay there. That is so important because when we drop into curiosity, what we are not doing anymore is that we're not engaging so much in the frustration. We're
Mm,
not engaging in the hopelessness that accompanies overwhelm. Hmm.
exactly. And
Yeah,
she
I
asked,
love this. You want me to read it?
yes.
I can read it. All right. And then Lisa goes on to say, I love this to recognize and normalize. So there's nothing wrong with me that I get overwhelmed and shut down. Exactly. Exactly. Along that same lines, the reason why it's important to recognize and normalize is because when we're fighting it, when we're saying that there is something wrong with me,
Hmm.
we're actually adding to the trouble that we have. So we have the overwhelm, and then we add on top of that, "Oh, there's something wrong with me." So that
Hmm.
immediately tells your brain you're incapable of solving this. It also makes you feel bad. It just there's a muck above that. And the only way to get down to the original thing that you're trying to accomplish is to go back down through it. So by by capturing that thought, which is optional, what we do is that we create so much more muck to go through before we can get back down to addressing whatever it is in our life that we want to change, that we want to shift. And by getting curious, it can also lead us to being present.
Ah, that curiosity seems to be that tool of stepping back and being curious about something is such an incredible tool. I find myself all the time in situations, and when I'm not sure how to respond or what to do, my go to is, okay, how can I approach this with curiosity rather
Hmm.
than some prejudgment about it or decision about it when I don't have all the information yet?
Hmm. Yeah, and sometimes we don't have all of the information, which means that we've got to be present in order to and normalize so that we can actually move forward and see what our options are. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times when we're in overwhelm or when we're in shutdown, people will tell us ideas or suggest things, or maybe there's something else that we could connect in our own lives. And, but we write it off as ridiculous or you don't understand me, and that's all part of that shutdown, that wall building.
Mhm.
No, 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 and it's almost like that stuff that it's coming in is like, "Oh, that's gonna hurt me. I can't even entertain that."
I can look at that.
Mhm. Yeah. So
So then where what do we do then? We've stepped back, we're kind of approaching it with curiosity. What other tools can we use to really step outside of it?
mhm. So the next thing is to be an active participant, and, that means that we're gonna take a bit of action. We're gonna work on calming ourselves down because we may still have these emotions that are swirling. The disbelief, the incapable, the hopeless. But, really assuring ourselves that we got this. We've gone through things like this before, and we have proof in our past,
Hmm.
but we can take active steps. So I know that when my sister is stressed, one of the things that she will do is that she'll go for a run. A lot of people do this. Or they'll do a meditation app or things like that. And what it does is that it gives the brain something to focus on,
Mhm.
at least for a temporary period of time, other than whatever the situation that is going on. And that is what allows the brain just a little bit of rest because, and it puts down that fight and all that energy that it's using again to support that big old boulder of overwhelm. It's almost like you take the boulder and you set it down for a minute.
Yeah, yeah,
And oddly enough, we go back and we pick it back up. But, when we get practiced, we remember that oh, yeah, I can put this down. I don't have to hold it like Atlas, holding the world above his head.
yeah.
Mhm,
I can see how that would really work. So we take a step
mhm,
back, approach it with curiosity, and the key part there, I think, is what you said: become an active participant. Because
mhm.
so often I think it's, oh, this is overwhelming. I'm just gonna, the stepping away from overwhelm is ignoring it.
Mhm. Is that for darn sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, the overwhelm is one of those things that is actually a distraction. We think, we talked about earlier in this live, the fact that we think that we're being strapped into a roller coaster, putting a blindfold on, and we can't get off until it stops.
Hmm.
And we don't have any control. There's some other mysterious person who's pulling the controls on this.
Are you saying this
Uh,
is not the case?
this is not the case. This is not the case. Oddly enough, it's more like we're just sitting in a room in a chair and that we can get up at any time, but nobody told us this. And I think that's one of the things that I like about life coaching and why I went into it is because it gave me the tools that took me that 1 yard to all of this great stuff I had learned before. Because I've been studying people and self-help and all
Mhm.
sorts of for years just for my own person. And this helped me understand that, yeah, I can get up from any time. But overwhelm is one of those distractions. It could also be frustration or, potentially anger. It's all sorts of things that we think that we're trapped in, that we think we have to go the entire cycle rather than just going, oh, I recognize you. If I want to, I can step out. Now, even if you stay in, the magic thing about this is that it becomes a conscious decision to stay in.
Mhm.
And that shifts everything because it shows you and you get to realize the power that you've always had within you because so much one of the big lies is that overwhelm, frustration, anger, it's something that we can't control. It's
Mhm.
something that that we have to ride all the way out. And once you learn tools like this and you practice them because it does take practice. If you think, by this age in life you've had that many years to practice the other way, it takes a little bit of practice to get on the other side. But then you're in control and you realize the control that you have always had to create the experience even in a tough situation um
It really
to
seems too
make it work.
that, and tell me if I'm tracking with you, that to really come out of overwhelm and to be effective in getting done what we need to get done, we can't do it from a place of overwhelm. So you can't be
Mm-mm.
overwhelmed and think, I'm just going to handle this. And that's kind of the route that I've done in the past. If I've been overwhelmed, I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to handle it.
Mhm.
But what you're saying is before that, if we take that come out from under overwhelm first, we're in a better frame
Mhm.
of mind, we're more present, and we're more capable of addressing the different situations or issues that contributed to us being in overwhelm in the first place.
Mhm. Right, because it's one of those things where when we're in overwhelm, we are fighting it so hard that we're actually expending all of the energy that we have to keep it up because remember it's that protective wall.
Yeah.
And so when we put it down, when we step out, we regain all of that energy we were using to keep overwhelm going. And now that we know that it's a choice, it's not It's not something that we have to ride out. We can recapture that energy so much quicker. Thank you for that comment, Lynn.
Lisa.
Or Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. She put it on my screen and then she took it off, and
Yeah.
my dyslexia gets the best of me sometimes. So there you go.
Well,
So
that's a
yeah.
really good tool. There's because I can see too, if we approach something and we try to handle things when we're in that overwhelm, it just comes out sideways. Because, like you said, it can
Mhm.
manifest as anger. It can manifest as, I know that if I'm truly overwhelmed, I just want to cry. That is when I want to go have a nice cry in the shower like an adult.
And in my past life, when I could drink past 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's tough getting old, ladies. It's just tough getting old. It would be a couple of glasses of wine. I mean, we try to escape it so many ways, but it doesn't actually. We don't actually step out of it. And so this way we can actually bring back the energy to address whatever it is that we need to do.
When I like
Because there's
that, and I
so much.
like that that whole coming out first and then handling it, because I could see too if we're working with other people, because sometimes we're not alone. There's people we're with, be it family, relationships, work, any type of situation, and we're all feeling overwhelmed, then that can often kind of create some friction like that. But I can see
Mhm.
how having these tools, if each of those people had, that's why this is so great for, we talk about creating community and connection. And that is why we do Life Coach Friday. And that is why we stream it onto multiple pages. Because it doesn't matter
Mhm.
where you are, these are tools for creating community and connection.
Mhm.
Having those tools, having enough people with those tools in your family or on your team, it's helpful because you can remind each other and go, oh, that's right.
Oh,
Take a step
yeah.
back.
And it's so much easier to put it into check with other people because then they aren't judging themselves or other people. They're like, "Oh yeah, I recognize this.
Hmm.
It is it's something that is optional.
Hmm.
That is I can walk out when I want to." Now, just because it's optional doesn't mean that you have to walk out of it right now. Sometimes we just really want to like cry in the shower or lie in bed or whatever it
Yeah.
is, hang out in our car avoiding people. But,
Hmm.
but then we realize, yes, we can step out and we
Yeah.
have control. So Gayatri says that's when we need connection, right? And that's so true. And part of this is that if you find other people who are like-minded, that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. People who are like if this type of work is something that you like and that you can use and things like that, it's finding other people who study self-help. It's other people who are trying to grow personally and just kind of curious about what can I do next. And so anytime you can get around those women, maybe you've created a business mastermind, maybe it's the ladies that drop off for school and you've got kids in the same season of life. Anytime you can come around, other people who can support you and lift you up, it is super important because we are not made as humans to live isolated lives. And I think that is what COVID has really done a lot for us, is that it has made us realize that, yeah, we need more than just us.
Hmm.
We need communities, and we need communities that inspire us, encourage us, and to help us be more bigger versions of ourselves, really who we were created to be. And every community is not for every person, but your people are out there and they're waiting just for you.
Hmm. You can find them. Now, these
Hmm.
tools and coming out of overwhelm, should we talk now about how you're coming to town?
I'm coming to town. I am so excited. I'm coming to town. I get to give Natalie a hug in person.
Yes, and
Yay!
for those who
Yay!
don't know, Annette actually lives in Texas, and through the magic of the internet, we're able to get together and do Life Coach Friday. But we have
Mhm.
upcoming in June where we're going to do, at least I think it's in June, huh? We're going to do a live.
Yeah,
We're going to
June.
live. We're going to get together. We're going to be in person, and you're coming to town, and
Mhm,
people will have an opportunity to attend
mhm.
a program that you're
Yes.
going to be doing. Details to
Yes.
follow.
So it I know. So I'm coming to town the first part of June, and so before school is out, we are going to get together, and the details are forthcoming. But we're going to have a talk specifically on overwhelm. And so, if this subject today is something that you would like to go in depth with, to ask me some real questions and even get some live coaching, I encourage you to come out to that. Tentatively, we're talking about early evening on June 2nd, which is a Thursday. And the details are going to come out in the newsletter. So we're going to put that link so that you can, for the newsletter, in the on the page that you're on today, in just after this is over. And then from there, I will send out information for, sign up and being able to come and participate live. One of the best things is that you will, because you're coming to this, be around like-minded people who are interested in this growth, who will get you. And that's it's the beauty of getting together these days.
It is. It's having those shared tools, it's so I love when, and my family, I have family members who've learned these tools who have also, worked with you, working with you. And it's so
Mhm.
great to have one of them go, well, if I was approaching this from a place of curiosity, it's just things go so much more smooth. It's just more, the more tools we all have. And again, this is why we do Life Coach Friday and why we stream it onto so many pages, because it's all
Mhm.
about, with these tools, we can create better communities in our families, where we work, where we live, because that is
Mhm.
just what it's all about. So we will share more details about what's coming up in June, when Annette Walters from Connected Life Coaching is coming to town, and how you'll be able to join us. Now, is there anything
Yes.
else you want to add before we wrap up?
So, I guess, my next Life Coach Friday is from your place
Oh,
in
that's
2
right,
weeks?
because you're going to be here in May, right?
Yes,
That's
yes. So
right.
I get there before Memorial Day. I'm actually in town for about 2 weeks, doing my life coaching thing there. And so, yeah, so we are the special thing is that we get to be together, for our next Life Coach Friday in 2 weeks. I can't believe it's in 2
So
weeks.
in 2 weeks
Is
is
that
the
in 2 weeks?
20th. No, it's in 3 weeks, I think, because the
Oh, it's in
27th.
3
So
weeks. Well, maybe we'll do
Memorial Day is on the 30th.
oh,
So either
maybe we'll
we
do a
do,
special one.
yeah, we do. I say we do two. We go ahead and
Okay.
do Life Coach Friday as we normally would. Our next one will be on May 20th. And then we should do a special in
Memorial
person,
Day.
or at least the two of us in person, for the 27th, right before Memorial Day.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
because you're gonna be around all those friends and family, and, even if you're the only one learning these tools, it does make a difference. Even if they don't know, it makes a difference for you because you show up as your best self, and you show up in a place where you create the experience that you want, no matter what they do. So mhm.
Exactly. I think we covered it. Thank you, as usual, Annette. We will be back with Life Coach Friday, like I said, on the 20th, and then we're going to do a special in-person one. Annette and I will be in person. Everyone else will be online on the 27th, and we'll reshare all of these details as well because we covered a lot today. But at least we got some really great tools on stepping out of overwhelm. And if you use these tools and you're out and about, we want to hear from you. You can reach us through private message, through Connected Life Coaching with Annette, or through Tonka Talk. You can reach me directly on Facebook, but we want to hear from you. So thank you, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks.